And if I'm going too fast during this demo, please tell me to slow down or message in the chat, and I will. I don't want to be going too fast and it's just confusing for everyone. Okay, so the first thing, hopefully you're all familiar with the portal. In the filter navigator on the left hand side, I'm going to search for dashboard, and you'll see a self-service option called dashboards. I've highlighted it as one of my favorites. So it will take you to a page like this. You'll probably find that your recents are empty, but you'll see a section for recent, owned by me, shared with me, and all. So the option we're going to use today is new. So this will now ask you for a name of the dashboard. So I'm just going to call this demo Friday AM, and there isn't anything else that you need to do at this stage. So we can just hit submit. And this has taken us to our empty dashboard. So we've got nothing on it at the moment, but it's ready to be used and we can start adding reports to it. I'm just going to minimize this navigator now because we don't really have any need for this at the moment. And you've got more of the screen to work with, which is good. So this panel on the right hand side is the key thing for adding reports to your dashboards, editing your dashboards, and sharing your dashboard. So this add widget section is what we'll be using to create reports. If I just close this down, we can get it back by just clicking on the add widget section. So we'll be using the reporting option today, and I'll touch on sharing and also configuration. So this can be used to create different tabs within your dashboard. You can apply different layouts to your dashboards, but we'll mainly be using this add widget section. So the first thing we're going to do is add a report, and I'll just point out, so a report in Servicenow is basically one visual. So this dashboard is going to be made up of a collection of reports. So I'm going to hit the new report option. You won't see any of these from your side. These are reports that I've created previously that I've got access to add to my dashboard. So once you've created a report, you can use it on multiple dashboards. So I'm going to hit new reports. It will then ask us, would we like to add this to our dashboard? So we just hit add, and now we have an empty report. This part is known as a widget, so we can configure this widget to create our report basically. So we need to hit this link, click here to configure this reusable widget. And this is the screen that you'll always come to when you are creating a new report. So we can give our report a name. What I tend to like to do whenever I start building a report in a table, I like to just have a data table first of all, just to give me an idea of what's actually stored in that table, the type of fields. So that's what I'm going to start with first, just a simple data table. So I'm going to call this incident table. Source type, you can always leave this as table at the moment. You don't have to do anything with this. And then in the table section, so we have no actual tables selected at the moment. I'm just going to hit the drop down. And I'm not going to search at the moment, just to give you an idea of sort of wide, there's a huge amount of tables to access in Servicenow. So you can do reporting from a countless amount of tables really, but the main ones that you'll probably find you'll end up using are incident table, incident SLA, requested items, and feedback. I think they're probably the key ones that you'll end up using. So I'm going to connect to the incident table, and now we're ready to start looking at maybe what types of visuals that we want to use. So we can hit next, which would just take us to this type section. or you can just click on type. I tend to just use the option at the top. So this gives us an idea of the types of visualizations that we can use. So we've got bar charts, pie charts or donuts, time series, which are very useful. We'll cover some of these today. The default option when you hit this type section is a list, and that's exactly what I'm going to use at the moment, which is really, it's just a table of basic data. So next I want to move on to configure, and the first thing you'll see here is choose columns. So I'm going to click on choose columns, and this is going to show us the columns available to us that we'd like to see in our report and what we've already got selected. You might want to go on mute if you can. So we've got quite a few selected at the moment already. You probably won't find that you've got this many selected when you're doing this for the first time. I think it sort of starts to remember what you've built up over time, but I might be wrong. So we've got key things here like number, ticket number, assignment group, when it was created, when it was opened, what resolve time, the state of the ticket. So that's whether it's closed, work in progress, that type of thing. Over on the left hand side, so whenever you see something in green with the plus symbol next to it, that means we can go to a related table to pull linked fields. So just to give you an example, if you wanted to pull in data related to the user and maybe where they're based, their country, that's actually stored in a different table. So affected user, for example, is where that's where that information is stored. If I click on this icon at the top, I can then access all of the fields available from that table. So city relates to the user's site, and we've got country. So I'm just going to move these across. And this is where you can also get things such as business unit, for example. So you can add as many or as little things into your selected section. So this is quite a long list at the moment, actually. So I'm just going to hit OK. I'm going to hit run. So run is going to give us a preview of the data. So we haven't saved anything. It's purely just a preview at this stage. So here we have a table. I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom. You can see there's 22,818 incidents in the incident table, because we haven't filtered out anything at the moment that's, maybe looking at a certain type of assignment group or only tickets that originate from a certain country, but we'll get onto that in a minute. We can remove columns if we want to, so you can just click on them singly, or you can move them in bulk and move them across with the arrows. A nice feature is how easy it is to just move the columns around in Servicenow as well. So you can do them one by one, or you can do a shift and select multiple ones, change the order, hit OK. And if you want to see any of the changes that you've made, you just hit run. And that will do them for you. So I mentioned at the beginning, the key thing to get used to with the reporting is using the conditions builder. So that's this funnel icon just over here. And you're going to see a lot of this today. It's going to be quite repetitive, but it's the best way of getting used to using it. So this is where we would set things like only seeing incidents from a certain assignment group. So I'm just going to click on this drop down menu. So we need to look for a field. So assignment group, I'm going to start by just looking for incidents related to a certain assignment group. And this this example, I'm just going to use an area charts or area graph. And so let's move on to configure. So the first thing it will ask here is group by. Do we want to group this by anything, and we don't. This is what you would mainly use for a bar chart or a column chart, which we'll move on to next. Trend by, it's got it set to activity due. That's not how I want this to be trended. I want to look at tickets by open date. So I'm going to look for opens. At the moment, it's got the aggregation set to per year. I'm going to hit run to just give you a preview of what this will look like at the moment. So you can see we have a graph displayed, but because we've got a year set, you know, it's really not going to give you much information because it's just one data point, because we've only got information for 2020. If we had 10 years worth of data, obviously we'd see something different here. So if we move over or move back to the aggregation section, we can change the sort of time parameters. So we can break it down by quarter. That's still not going to give us many data points, neither is month. But then when you start to get down to week, day, hour, and date, that's when you'll start to see more. So if I do it by date, and I'm going to hit run again, we now see a much nicer visual. So this is showing us all incidents opened since the system went live, basically. And this will start to give you a picture of, you know, trends. You can start to pick out peaks or dips in your data, and it will allow you to investigate why that might be the case. So the style tab is the last one that's available to you, and you can go backwards and forwards between these. You can change the visualizations. You can keep running as many times as you want, and then you can save it as soon as you're happy with it. So go back to the style tab. So you can do things in here like add data labels. So I'm going to just hit data label. I want that to be displayed. You can change the chart size in here. You can change the colors. So this is, you know, maybe something that you'll play around with as you get into reporting. So if I hit run again, that's now showing this table, or sorry, the graph with the change that we've just made. So you may have noticed. So this is again, it's a huge amount of incidents because we're looking at everything in the incident table. I want to use this conditions builder again to just filter out exactly what it is that I want. So again, I want everything in assignment group that starts with site support. I'll hit run, and you can see that change is now reflected. So I'm going to hit save. Again, it's added it to my dashboard. So we've got two visuals on here, two reports now, and we're going to go back and add a third one. So back to the reports option, new reports, ads, and we want to use this link to configure the widgets. Okay, so this one I am going to do incidents by category. I'm going to stick to the incident table. If we move on to type, could use bar chart here or a horizontal bar, which would just give you an overview of everything that I want to break down by category, but I still want to see my categories over a period of time, so maybe over as they were created, basically. So similar, using a time series, same time series principle to the previous visual. So I'm going to use a column, and I'm going to go to configure. Now this group by wasn't really relevant to the line graph, but it is now to this column or bar chart. So I want to group the tickets by category. And again, trend by has defaulted to activity due. I want to keep that to opened. So I'm going to change that. It's also set to year again. So if I just run this, we'll just see one line or one bar, sorry. I want to change that to date, hit run, and we can see a breakdown of incidents and their category by the day that they were logged. So this trend by is basically when the incident was opened. You can do other things here. So you have an additional group by option. Once you've saved, you can do anything with it. Okay, so we've got quite a few visuals now. I'm just gonna resize some of these for now. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So one thing that I quite like having on my dashboard are cards that just give scorecards that just give you a quick visual or indication on the sort of volumes that you're dealing with. So I'm going to build some of that. I'm going to add some of those cards now just to give you an idea of what I mean. So back into reports, click on new reports, add this. Can I just check, is everyone happy with the pace at the moment? It's not too fast, too slow?
It's okay, Freddie.
It's
I
okay.
think.
That's fine,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to give this a title of total incident counts. Can you use incidents? So within type this time, I'm going to use a different visual. Just want to use a single score, a scorecard, and I find these very useful. So if I was to just hit run now, that's going to show us every single incident from the incident table. But we can start to use a condition builder to just get to exactly what we want. So I want assignment group. Starts with site support. I'm going to hit run. We've got 1,915 incidents. Now I'm going to hit save, which is going to take us back to the dashboard. Now you may be, some of you may be creating reports and you're doing them for your multiple assignment groups, 5, 10, 15, 20 assignment groups. And I know you're probably not going to want to, every time you create a report, go through and add every single one of those groups in the conditions builder, because that's probably the most time consuming thing if you've got to add 20 groups every single time you create a visual. But you don't have to do that. So there is a way around that. So if I click on any of the, I could click on edit content to take me into any of the reports. I'm going to use the card that we've just created. And what I want to do is create a copy of that card, which will keep the conditions that was set against it, but then I can add some additional conditions. So that's really useful if you've got lots of conditions and you don't want to continuously add them for every single visual. So to do that, we've gone back into one of our reports. So next to this save option, we've got a little drop down icon, and you have an option here for insert and stay. And I don't know if you can see that text, but it tells you. So it inserts a new copy of the report, but it will stay on the current page. So insert and stay. And this is now a complete copy of that report. And I can give it a different title. So total incident count. I want this to just look at open incidents. And I can come to the condition builder, and I don't need to do anything here because we've got our assignment group set. But what I want to do is add some more conditions. So I want to look at tickets or incidents where the state is I want new, in progress, and on hold. So I just want to see open tickets, open incidents. So I can do these individually. I could just go new and then or in progress or on hold. But there is another way. So rather than just going is on this drop down, we can use is one of. Then we can highlight multiple options in one go. So that would be the easiest way to do that. So I'm going to hit run. So that tells us that we've got 290 open incidents across these assignment groups. So I'm going to hit save. Now, one thing you will notice here is that this report hasn't been added to our dashboard. At the moment, we've just created a copy of it. So I want to go back to our dashboards. And I would now like to add that report. So I want it to go to reports. And you'll always find it as the most recent report that you've created. So I want to add that to the dashboards. Again, we can just resize this so that it matches everything else. So we've got a count here that shows total number of tickets, total number of open tickets. I think now we should add one that shows our closed tickets, and I'm hoping that those two added together will match this. So I could do exactly the same thing as before. I could create a copy of this, but I'll just to get you sort of really familiar with the conditions builder, I'm just going to create it from scratch. So I'm going to hit new report, add, click here to configure this reusable widget. And I'm just going to call this incidents closed. Incident table again. Select the scorecard. Going to go straight to the conditions builder. One assignment group starts with site support. And state is, I'm going to use is one of, let's do resolved, closed or cancelled. I'm just going to hit run, just give me a preview. And let's hit save. And this way it will automatically be added to your dashboard. So we should find that those two match. So we've got a nice visual now that shows us, how many incidents are open, how many are closed. I'm just going to move some of these things about. Let's just resize these a touch because I now want to add a filter. So one of the key things to reports is filters. If you don't have filters, you just got a static view of data. So the good thing is that there are quite a number of filters that are available to use, especially in the incident table. I'm going to add two filters now that cover dates and assignment group. So that is done by selecting interactive filters. And the first one I would like to use is a date filter. So I'm going to go down to the date option. And let's just see. So I think I want here this incident. No, what do I want here? I want incident opened single. Right, okay, so let's click on this. I'm going to add this to the report. I'm going to resize that just to bring it over here. That's why these are still loading for some reason. There we go. So now we have a filter on this dashboard. Now you would probably expect to just be able to start using this and it will change your data. But if I just use this drop down and maybe just hit today, you can see that nothing is actually happening to these visuals. So there is an extra step needed. We need to actually tell these visuals to follow this filter. And to do that, we use this edit widget icon. So this cog above each of the visuals, we need to go into that to configure it to follow this filter. And I'll just stress, you can only access these options once you have this sort of edit pane open on the right hand side. So if I hit on edit widget, you can see an option at the bottom for follow interactive filter. So we definitely want it to follow the filter. I also like having it set so you know when it's following the filter. What that will do is just add a little icon to the visual, which I'll show you afterwards. So you just know you're following that, it's been filtered. It's going to hit that. You've also got this option here for show real-time updates. So this is quite nice because you will, as soon as a ticket is placed, it will be reflected in your scorecards. So we might even see some of these change during this demo. So I'm going to hit done. And I'm going to change. So we can already see, because I've got this set to today, this icon here is telling us that it's filtered. And this is telling us that it's a real-time update. So I'm going to do the same to this visual. Follow the filter, show when filtering, being filtered, and show real-time updates. That has updated as well. So I'm just going to do this very quickly for the other ones. Same for the graphs. So follow interactive filter and show me. With the pie charts or donuts, there is also another option. So it can follow the filter, but it can also, follow would be this one, but it can also act as its own filter. So I'll tick that as well, just to show you what I mean.